The building itself is grade 2 listed, so we can't do anything to the exterior without planning permission. But we can make changes to the inside. If you, as a PC, are not here when the sergeant expects you to be at 10 AM, you are going to get told off. In latter years, they became equipped with a telephone. So the first thing you see very dominant are 2 old motorbikes. They are both original ex-West Midlands police motorbikes. They will never run again because their engines are seized. But a fantastic piece of display equipment that is historical to the force. On the back wall, you can look at these when you wander around yourself shortly. There are examples of old police vehicles. Starting here are reflecting history. This one particularly reflects those police officers in Birmingham that died during the First and Second World War. So basically it's a memorial to them. Okay? There are lists of names on a beautifully scrolled board on that side. There's other information on the right-hand side. I'm not going to encourage you to go in at this moment because you can do that for your own benefit when you're free to walk around. Because it takes a lot of reading if you want to read it all, and it will slow the tour up significantly. This particular cell refers to officers who have had special mentions, so those that get Chief Constable's commendations for acts of bravery, whatever they may have done that requires that to be noted. This will be in this cell. Both cells have tablets in where if you were visiting and you had a grandfather or a great-grandfather that may have been a Birmingham police officer, you could look it up and see if their name's there. If their name's there, the potential is we've got their service record. So we go back a long way with history. This cell, T13, we dedicate to those officers who have received the highest civilian award in the UK, which is the Victoria Cross. You cannot get an award any higher. That is possibly for saving someone's life while losing their own. That kind of circumstance. This cell is very significant, T11. It talks about mugshots. Now, we have on display a ledger in a protected case. We have 12 of those, each containing photographs, historical photographs of people who have been arrested and held here, their photograph, their name, date of birth, their crime, punishment, etc., etc. The reason that we emphasise this is because Birmingham police in the early 1900s were the first force in the UK to take mugshots, and we believe the first force in Europe, although we're still waiting to actually get that 100% accurate. Now, because this building was, when it was built with a glass roof. This is a new one. The original one that we took over was so unsafe we had to remove it. But all of the photographs were taken in that corner because the photographer needed natural light and he was high up to the sky. When we're in the basement, you'll see the style of camera that the photographer would have used. So this cell talks about probably the most famous group of individuals in Birmingham, called the Peaky Blinders. Some of you may know the TV programme. Most of it is fiction. But it was a gang that was centred around the general area of the Blues Ground, Birmingham City FC. The reason they were called Peaky Blinders is due to the style of hat, which is on display. Just behind you. Take a seat. We'll get everybody in, because I'm not going to go through every single thing in here, because it will take way too long. But again, it's something that the group can walk around and take in for themselves. This cabinet, there is a display of items across the decades. Within the cabinet, the newest item is a taser. But there are bits from World War II, the 80s, first radios, Pi radios, 1966. And then also we're lucky to have the Force's first drone has been donated to us. By modern standards, when you think that the drone came in 2017, which isn't that long ago, that is so out of date, it's unreal. Modern drones, if they're fitted with the right camera equipment, will
James saying they're much smaller. And you can't
Yes, absolutely. Modern drones with the right camera on will recognise a car number plate at 2 miles. They will recognise the driver of that.
Is it clear or is it?
Oh yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, good quality.
Good quality. They will recognise the driver's face at 1.5 miles. And it will be a recognition picture.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
You can't even see the drone.
No, and it can see you. It's really good technology. And it's constantly developing.
Don't say, what about 4 years' time? It'd be so small. Can you imagine?
I was at a trade show last week, which I went to 2 years ago. And the technology that's now into drones in 2 years is huge. Last 2 years ago, I actually saw demonstrations.
Yeah, do they have it every two? How long do they update it? Every year? Every 2 years?
Depends on the finance. Because they're not cheap. Absolutely not cheap. 2 years ago, when I was at this event, I actually watched a display by robotic dogs, which could have been brought into the force, and still might. And that's technology. So as we go through, you get...
Yeah, so what would it like the police force? So they're all going and then what would be...
Oh no, I don't think that will ever happen. It's... People will look to source modern technology to do certain things. It's a little bit like... It's like automatic number plate recognition cameras actually do far more than what the name suggests. So this cell here, T9, that represents modern day policing. So you will see in there is a torso mannequin showing the stab vest with the equipment attached. And then it shows images and describes things like the control room and how systems actually work. Again, for you to come back to and just have a read and get a bigger picture. Right, we're now going to go downstairs to the basement. To start the discussion about the advert in the frame behind it. Let me stand that side. Let me stand that side. Right, so here in the basement, we have something called a forensics trail. The forensics trail is a little booklet which talks you through the investigation into a burglary. So you'll be asked to identify footprints, handwriting, fingerprints, which are in that cell there, DNA sample, which is in this cell here, and at the very end, you get to go into a cell which we call the CID office, where you can see all of your suspects and the evidence on the wall, and you choose who you think the guilty party is. At that point then, you can, on the desk in the office, reveal if you're right or wrong. Again, that's something you can do after this little bit of the tour. Entirely up to you. I'll show you where the booklets are and then you can just carry on with it. So these are the booklets, just help yourself, or if they want to help themselves afterwards. Oh, spotlights everywhere. So this particular area was the old kitchen. Where the shelves are, that was the fireplace. There is a picture on the wall outside. Mug shots we talked about upstairs. There is a camera that would have been used in the early days, the 1900s. And if you want to do your own mug shots, if you sit in the chair like Peter is, yeah, and you take your smartphone out and take a photograph of the whole thing, and then you take all that, crop that out, you're left with your photograph, and this would be your information.
Oh, okay, explain to me. If I sit there a bit worried, someone can come around my waist and keep me there.
Now the cat was employed, and I use that term specifically because as you'll know, police officers have numbers on their shoulders. They're called collar numbers. The cat had a collar number. So you have things, oil-powered hand lamp, over 100 years old. This is what officers would have carried. The legal limit in England and Wales is 35 micrograms of alcohol per 100 millilitres of breath. So this part is what you listen to, and this part is what you talk to. Yeah. You had to be very careful though when you used the transmitter, because if you held it too close, it would poke your eye out.